So we finally have news on the next Battlefield, or more news on the next Battlefield, Battlefield 6. So they have actually announced a reveal trailer, which will probably show more. Now, Battlefield 6 gameplay has been leaked online a lot, and I mean a lot. EA said they were trying to take it down, and they've taken quite a lot of it down. Unfortunately, just not quick enough to before they had ended up getting loads of views. I think there's still some clips on there. They're normally bad quality clips that are still up, and you can still see them. Now, of course, we finally had some more news. Now, about a month or two ago, we had news that Battlefield 6 was in not so good of a state. There were problems, there were conflicts inside EA and DICE with Battlefield 6, and there were problems. Developers just weren't happy and stuff like that. But I'm not too sure if that stuff is still going on and it's affected. I think it was mainly the campaign inside, so I'm not too sure if the campaign is still going to be affected or not. We will have to see if that's going to be the case when the game launches. However, the reveal trailer has just showed up on YouTube and scheduled to go live on the 24th. Pretty cool. Happy to see more about it. Now, it's most likely going to come out this year, towards the end of this year, November-ish time. It's called Battlefield 6 as well. The naming of all these battlefields and stuff doesn't really make any sense to me. We're all over the place with them. Battlefield 6, we've gone from Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5 to Battlefield 2042 to Battlefield 6. Naming does need to be sorted out a little bit more. Then again, although I don't think they should just follow the 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. But hey, I'm happy that it's coming out. That is good to see. So apparently, this is from Battlefield Bulletin on X or Twitter. Battlefield 6 open beta is scheduled to go live in early August, reveal in late June. The beta will feature both official playlists with weapons locked to classes and open weapons. I think it's more like Battlefield 4, that sort of thing. I think they had sort of locked to classes. I don't know. They had some that were locked. I think Battlefield 1 had locked to classes. I can't remember. Update. Battlefield 6's open beta build publication date is currently set for August the 4th via Portal Web interface. This doesn't necessarily mean the beta will begin on the same date, but likely will be in the near vicinity. The date will be formally announced very soon. Yeah, I'm gonna most likely guess this is going to be a November launch, although I think they should probably listen this time. If the beta is anything like the Battlefield 2042 beta, people were saying to EA, and it's no surprise they didn't listen at all. Apparently it's going to be like the beta is going to be revealed or in like a Call of Duty Next event style. If you've never seen a Call of Duty event, they bring a bunch of creators in to play the beta when the beta goes live, or a few days before, like 2 or so days before the beta goes live. So YouTubers and that can showcase the beta, stuff like that. Or I think it's probably an earlier build, I'm not too sure. But they can showcase it and stuff like that, and it's basically free advertisement for Call of Duty. And apparently that's what Battlefield is going to do, a sort of event like that, which is pretty cool. I like to see that, which is good. Summary of today's... no, that was an old one. But yeah, this is quite fair. Battlefield requires Secure Boot to play the game on PC. If your PC supports Secure Boot Windows 10, 11, and it's not enabled, the game will prompt you to enable it. So what about the PCs that don't support it? Because there are some PCs that don't support it. That sucks if it doesn't. They've got new art revealed, which is, I think, New York Brooklyn Bridge, I think it's going to be called. I'm not too sure if that's going to be in the beta or not. I presume it is. Again, I want to see. I think it's going to be 64 players. I know with Battlefield 2042, they kind of made a mistake. Now, I don't mind. Well, I think it was 125 players, was it, or something like that. I don't mind that amount of players, but they made the maps too big. It was to a problem where when you first ever played Battlefield, you'd come into problems where vehicles were the only thing dominating games purely because it was so far to get from one place to another that vehicles would just run you over. They'd go into your spawn and they'd just run you over and they'd stay there. And they had the advantage. You had to, if you had all the things captured, going from one objective to another objective was quite a trek, So I really hope they do change that within different maps and stuff like that. You don't want them to be right on top of each other, but you don't want them to be so far that you have to run like 2 or 3 minutes just to get there. It's a little bit more annoying, that type of thing. But hey, I am glad to see Battlefield 6 is being announced. This is the first time a Call of Duty and a Battlefield has launched, I think, since or is going to launch together since like I think Battlefield 2042. I remember people were like, oh, the Call of Duty killer, and maybe this year it might be that. I know that was when Battlefield 1 came out. The slight competition they had with, was it Infinite Warfare back then? Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1, the clash. I think Battlefield 1, ended up being a incredible success for EA. I don't think anyone realised it would be that much of a success. I mean, I don't even think the people at top EA bosses, even had any faith in it getting that popular. To be honest with you, I'm kind of glad it got that popular. And I'm sure this will as well. People are waiting for a Battlefield. It's a great game. It's a great series. Yes, people like the sort of arcadey shooters like Call of Duty, but they also love the large-scale warfare battles and stuff like that. That's why people absolutely love Arma and stuff like that. Yes, they're more sort of realistic Armas, but it's still like massive-scale shooters, where there are just so much shit going on. And there's so many players to a certain side, which, you don't really get with Call of Duty, unfortunately, which is annoying. But, I'm glad they put this reveal out. People are happy. But I really hope there's no goofy skins within this, which will be annoying. Obviously, there is a Battle Royale. I'm not too sure when that's going to launch. I'm presuming if it's probably smart, it probably won't end up launching until a month or so after the launch of the actual game. I'm presuming there's still going to be a campaign for this as well, although apparently it's going to be really short. That was the conflict that I read a few months ago from them, but I guess we can only hope that the campaign is somewhat there. It's not the end of the world. Battlefield isn't really ever known for their campaigns. Although they have made some good ones. Battlefield Bad Company 2, I think, is the best campaign they've ever made in a battle. And Battlefield 3. Battlefield 4 was okay. Battlefield 1, it was more of sort of a showcase of history sort of thing. Still good. But it wasn't like sort of replayable in that sense. But Battlefield's never been like this thing, like Call of Duty, making well-known characters and stuff like that, like Captain Price or Ghost, or Makarov or any other character like that. They sort of add new people, which is fair enough because again they've never really been that type of thing to be like, oh, we make campaigns. They do make some decent campaigns, but nothing like Call of Duty campaign type of thing. But yeah, hopefully there's no goofy skins. I know that's a big thing with Call of Duty at the moment. There are just goofy skins. I think they just did an American Dad collab. They just did a Beavis and Butthead skin thing, which I'm not gonna lie, they do look fucking goofy, these skins. It just doesn't really fit the game. They're sort of the cartoony type of thing. If you've seen them, I recommend you do look at them because you'll understand what I say a lot more better. But they just don't look great. They look horrible, in fact. They don't fit at all. They don't fit anything. They just look out of place. And in fact, they look like they make you an easier target because you don't blend in with anything. Because nothing in the environment actually fits around your sort of skin. Because it just looks too fucking cartoony for any possible background. But I really hope they don't do goofy skins like that and they sort of keep the skin sort of militarized in that way. Yes, a lot of people are like, oh, but I really do hope we don't get collaborations like that. And to be fair, it's no surprise we're going to get a skin shop and stuff like that. Battlefield 2042 had one. Battlefield 5 actually had one, unfortunately, so there is that. Although Battlefield 5 did slightly have goofy skins, it weren't too outlandish like Call of Duty is now. Battlefield 1 sort of had some laid back, while the uniforms, some of them I don't think were 100% historically accurate. At least they sort of followed a main thing. You kind of knew who was an enemy, and you knew who was your friendly. Because of the uniforms, you looked at the uniform. You didn't have to look at the fact, oh, it's not got a name above it. You're like, oh, that's an enemy because of the uniform. So that's kind of distinguishes who's an enemy or not with a uniform as well. Especially if you're playing stuff like hardcore, maybe. Or, that's a good thing. I know when playing hardcore, there's no names or anything. So numerous times you can end up getting into conflicts where you actually end up shooting your teammates because you don't have a clue who the fuck the enemy is because, well, everyone's just a random fucking skin. It's like almost like you're playing a free-for-all at the end of the day. It's just annoying. But I hope Battlefield does go down to the sort of militarized routes and sell skins in the shop that are actually sort of militarized themed. Get a little bit wacky, yeah, but not too wacky towards the point where they add a skin that genuinely doesn't fit in anything in this because it just looks too cartoony. Adding that Beavis and Butthead skin was just, I think, the peak of failure for them. I think it's a thing that people just couldn't take seriously when they added the Beavis and Butthead skin. It just, yeah. I don't know what happened to Call of Duty. I really don't. It just fell off to a point where nobody really cares anymore. And I really hope they add a server browser, and a good server browser at that. Like Battlefield 2042, I don't think they did have a server browser. They had a Portal, one for Portal, although I don't know if we're going to ever see a Portal type of thing back again. I'm not too sure. But I don't think there was a server browser for the actual game, which is very unusual for Battlefield, to be honest with you. Even for console, there's been a server browser in Battlefield for a very long time. There were even server browsers in Battlefield, Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, things like that, and 3, Hardline as well. So I don't understand why there wasn't any. It's annoying without a server browser. You want a quick join, where you can just click on it or just put you in sort of any game mode. But you also want a server browser, so when the game does become dead or becomes less popular, you have a chance of actually finding a server. And secondly, you can actually find the game or the map you actually want to play, and you're not forced to play some garbage-ass map, because there will be some garbage maps, unfortunately, but, you're not forced to play that map you don't want to play. You actually have an opportunity now to hopefully I don't see why they wouldn't put a server browser in. It would be a very weird thing for them not to do. But then again, they didn't with Battlefield 2042 for some apparent reason, which is very weird. But yeah, I really hope they do absolutely grind the shit out of this. Battlefield has been confirmed. Yeah, it's just out there. The news is out there now. But yeah, it's time we did get a new Battlefield and freshen up a little bit,